Hi guys, going to cover section B of chapter 11 today. Kind of a quick section, just two little things to talk about. We're going to talk about the circulatory system and the respiratory system. Very brief because we're going to spend more time on those later. So circulation is just what's necessary to get important products around your body, okay? For most animals, that's oxygen and the nutrients we need, okay? It needs to get transported through your body somehow. So the circulatory system is what does that. In order to have a circulatory system, you need some kind of a fluid. For vertebrates, it's blood. For more simple animals, a lot of the invertebrates, it's something called hemolymph. Let me get my pen here. Talk about that in just a second. And a way to transport it, okay? And it gets more complicated as we go to the more complicated animals, okay? So let's talk about an open system first, an open circulatory system. This is what a lot of our invertebrates have. You can see what is that, a grasshopper over there. They have something known as hemolymph, which is just a fluid that carries, it's not really blood, but it does carry the nutrients. But there's no vessels, okay? So it just kind of, there's a simple pump, simple heart, but then that hemolymph just kind of leaks through the body and it moves throughout the body. Usually it's aided with just the movement of the animal itself. So the heart is very weak, doesn't get it everywhere it needs to go, but then the movement of the animal helps get the hemolymph where it needs to go. A closed circulatory system is much more efficient. Okay, this is what all vertebrates have, and some of the invertebrates too. Worms, earthworms actually have a closed circulatory system, and you can see that right there. Okay, so with the closed circulatory system, you have a heart, you have a pump again, you have actual blood, and you have blood vessels. And so the blood is contained within this system, okay? It's not leaking out throughout the body, okay? The heart is made of muscle. It's made of cardiac muscle, and it squeezes, and it pumps the blood through the body, okay, or the hemolymph. Different animals have different numbers of chambers. Some have one, some have three. Mammals have four, and we'll talk about that more when we get to the human circulatory system. But the different chambers you might have are the atria. Humans have two, mammals have two. It receives the blood. So the deoxygenated blood comes back to the heart and it's received by the atria, okay? And then the ventricles, the lower part of the heart, that's the pump. They actually squeeze and that pumps the blood around. Again, mammals have two of each of those, okay? And then the vessels themselves are just tubes that allow the blood to flow through them. We'll talk more specifically about arteries, veins, and capillaries. They're real tiny ones. When you cut yourself, like kind of small, what you've done is you've opened up capillaries and allows the blood out. If you cut yourself severely and you open an artery or a vein, that's more of an emergency. We'll talk more about that too. All right, let's move on to respiration. So respiration is the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. It can be breathing, but it could also be referring to cellular respiration, which is that kind of opposite reaction of photosynthesis, where oxygen and carbon dioxide are changing places, okay? So the respiratory system is in charge of that, and it basically takes oxygen into the body and it releases carbon dioxide, which is a waste product for us, okay? Some animals, like amphibians, they perform respiration through their skin. This is why their skin needs to be moist in order for that gas exchange to occur, okay? Some insects and other invertebrates have things called spiracles. And these are just little tiny holes along their sides that the gas exchange takes place. Oxygen goes in, carbon dioxide goes out. Similar to the stomata on leaves. Remember when we talked about that? Okay, these are called spiracles. Fish have gills. Gills are very similar to lungs, except they're kind of passive, meaning they're not. Fish aren't really inhaling and exhaling. What they do is they swim, and the water flows over those gills. Now the gills are filled with capillaries. Okay, and as the water flows over the gill, the oxygen in the water goes into the gill, into those blood vessels, And the carbon dioxide from the blood vessels, the waste, goes back out into the water. And this just happens by the movement of the water over it in a process known as diffusion, which we'll learn more about. And then finally, we get into the vertebrates, and they have lungs, okay? Lungs do a very similar process to this, where the carbon dioxide is leaving, the oxygen is going into the bloodstream by diffusion, but this happens down at the cellular level in the lungs, okay? When you inhale, you take oxygen in, it goes down to that capillary level. The oxygen diffuses across into the bloodstream, and the carbon dioxide diffuses out of the bloodstream into the lung, and then you exhale and let the carbon dioxide out. Fascinating. It's wild. It's such a good design. Such an amazing body we have. And that's it. Told you it was short. Bye.